Have you ever seen something unbelievable on a video feed? Can electronic devices pick up voices from a different dimension? Could orbs be angels watching over our children? Today, we test the believability of creepy occurrences discovered on baby monitors.
Welcome to Believing the Bizarre,
Where we dive into the unknown and the unusual.
and tell you whether or not we find it believable.
That's right. Happy Tuesday. A new week is here.
Yes, it is.
It's October 1st.
Today.
Happy October.
In this town we call home. That's all I want to do.
It is October, which is, it's kind of like our tax season. Like accountants in April, it's like, this is when we have to kick it into high gear.
If you filed an extension, this really is your taxes. So, I found out the hard way. So,
Yeah, and we will be having a live event, so there'll be more information about that. We're keeping the tradition alive, which will be year 5.
bye.
Year 5.
That's right.
Year 5 of live Halloween shows.
And after the first year we did it together. Remember that?
Yeah, we were like, not doing that again.
Well, we decided we'd keep it more like an episode, bounce back and forth.
It's nice, and we rotate years. So if you want to know who's going this year, listen to last year's, and you'll find out.
That's your answer.
But this is exciting. This is one I've been tossing around because I was always afraid, like, is this have enough meat to be a story? And then I remembered, I don't care. I want to talk about it. I think it's very interesting.
I do too. I'm glad you don't care because I think it's very exciting.
And just to be clear, this episode does cover both audio and video baby monitors. So it's like those little walkie-talkie things to like smartphone outlets, on your phone that you can see the feed.
Yeah. I want to have a camera in every room in my house.
I already have one in every room of your house. I can show you the video. Later.
I feel bad for you.
But before that, let's shout out our newest patrons, who include Haley, Sadie, Hunter, and Lisa. Thank you so much for joining our Patreon and supporting the podcast. We hope you enjoy it. We know we enjoy it.
That's true.
Well, we enjoy doing it, but we also really appreciate the support and like everything going on in there. Just for those of you that don't know, if you're just catching up, we do have a new Patreon release schedule. Every Wednesday and Friday, you can expect a new piece of content. So that's fun. Sources include, BuzzFeed, MSN, CBS News, The Bump, Today.com, Reddit, Quora, Business Insider, and Daily Mail.
Oh, is that like Bump, like Baby Bump?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's moms.
That makes sense, yeah.
But this is, kind of deals
It's like
with
the website, like Tie the Knot. I get it.
So let me set the stage here, because if you're a parent, you probably have a horror story. If you're not a parent, you're like, well, like, what are we really getting into here? So here's the stage. You ready, Charlie? So you put your baby down, and naturally you're just dead tired. More tired than dead tired. That's being a parent. You're underpaid, you're underworked, you're underappreciated. We get it. Maybe you have a paranormal podcast and you never miss an episode despite the birth of your child. Who knows? So you sink into your favorite chair with your baby monitor next to you or on your phone, and just as your muscles, your body relaxes, you hear your baby stir. And now you listen intently, hoping that maybe it's just a mid-sleep murmur, but it's not. Every bone in your body groans as you muster the strength to get up, but then you hear something unusual. It's a voice, but one that does not belong to your baby. It's a different and much deeper voice. Now you realize your energy and adrenaline has surged as you spring to your feet and burst into your child's room and turn on the light, only to discover that there's only 2 people in there, you and your child, without any evidence of another presence. And now your baby is startled and crying, so my condolences. There you go. There's the scene.
Wow, that's so scary.
Scene. Cut. Fin.
That's scarier than I thought it would have been. What do you think that ghost is saying to that baby? Hey, baby, have you ever been to the mall?
You like candy when you have teeth?
Yeah, exactly.
When you get teeth, you're going to like candy.
You're going to ask for a drum set when you're older.
So there's been many strange occurrences and creepy moments captured by baby monitors and apps over the years. Obviously, otherwise this episode wouldn't be happening.
I agree.
It'd be a very boring episode.
Huh.
Just to state this quickly, the night vision works by using infrared LEDs to illuminate a room so the camera can capture an image even in low light or pretty much darkness.
Cool.
And this also gives it a unique perspective which can be viewed as a little unsettling and different than our normal vision that we see with our naked eyes.
Yeah, the babies look like demons, right?
Yeah, they sometimes, like, there's going through finding encounters, there was a lot of, it was so scary. My child was looking at the camera and they looked like a demon. It's just like, because their eyes are black, but it's like, it's not actually, it's just.
Right.
It's
or are they?
Well, I guess I can't speak for that.
So just so everyone's aware, I do not have a child. So this is a different perspective.
We're bringing two different perspectives here.
Yes.
Also, you don't have a perspective on this either, but some horror movies have popularized the whole baby monitor thing. One that immediately comes to mind is the film Insidious, which has a baby monitor and some creepy scenes with that, where I think it's like,
I've seen Insidious. I can't think of it.
Okay, sure, yeah. And
I saw that one.
And Paranormal Activity also plays on that because it has the different camera angles and like that one they use like the Xbox thing where all the different lights.
Is it the third one or the second one?
I think it's the third one. It could be the second one. I don't know. Paranormal Activity 2 is Horror Movie Dad, and that's what I'll always.
I love him in that movie though. He's great, but you're right.
So that being said, those are just kind of, things to think about. Here are some of the creepiest things just in general. Like we're not going into specifics yet. These are like when we do a cryptid and they're known for this or, they're physical traits. This is kind of like the things typically reported on the paranormal side with baby monitors.
Oh, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Is there like a cryptid that's like, you know the Hat Man?
I've heard of him.
And like how he like stalks people, like he's known as like the Hat Man.
Yeah.
Is there like a monitor kind of Hat Man, or is like specific kind of like baby?
There might be a creepy pasta about it, or like one of those, what is it, like SCP things.
Oh,
there might be something like that, but there's nothing that I've heard that's like
one specific guy. I don't want to
say legitimate, but not that I know of. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
So one thing is strange voices. Parents have reported hearing disembodied voices coming through the monitor, speaking to their baby, or making nonsensical sounds. Can also be like static sounds or just like weird, music, things like that. 2, hacking incidents. This is legitimate and it's not quite paranormal, but it's still very creepy and unsettling. There's been instances where hackers can gain access to baby monitors, allowing them to speak to the children or the parents of the device.
Oh, I don't like that.
These have raised alarms about the security of Wi-Fi enabled monitors. I don't think I have many or any in here because I was trying to keep it paranormal.
Yeah.
But it's actually startling how many I came across where like they heard someone speaking and it was somebody that had hacked the system. And I don't think they knew directly who they were talking to. Kind of like, I guess like a Zoom hacking, you can see them. The baby monitor, I think, is just kind of like whoever hears them, but people pranking. It's actually...
That's very creepy.
Yeah,
that's very creepy.
3, unexplained noises. So this kind of goes with like the static, the whispers, just any weird unexplained sound coming through the baby monitor. 4, movement and shadows or orbs. So things that, seeing a shadow in the frame, movement. There was one, I couldn't find the story to it. I just saw the clip. There was one where it looked like a teddy bear head was just moving on its own in the crib. And that's terrifying.
That's a hard pass.
Yeah. Throwing that teddy bear out.
Oh,
I'm sentimental, but I'm throwing that bear out.
I think I set that bear on fire, dude.
5, children reacting to nothing. Parents sharing videos of their babies basically looking around a room or laughing at something. I did see a video where there's just a little toddler laughing off into the corner, but I couldn't really turn that into anything because I had no context. And then finally, technical glitches. So malfunctions, static, distorted images, things like that. Be cool if this episode was sponsored by Outlet, but yeah, it's fine. So we have one, and this actually this idea of this episode came to me in 2021 because, and I think we've showed you, we've had flying orb like things in our feed.
I saw that before. Yeah, you did show me. It was unsettling.
And it's only at night that it happens.
Yeah.
And it's not like we have an overly dusty room
or buggy or anything.
But also, it's like the things that you see flying in the room, it looks like they have agency. Like it doesn't seem like something that is just like being lofted, like debris or something like that. Like it looks like something that's actually swooping. And I still have obviously no explanation for that. We did have a scare, which I took a story out. There's so many stories I started writing and then they ended up having like it was just this in the end.
Oh, that
And
sucks.
and I actually found one that matched what I'm about to tell you. Is sometimes if you like, when you open your app and then you don't close it, but you exit it and you come back and it's like,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, my wife thought that she saw someone in the room, but it was just me. It was a lag. Like I was
Yes,
in there
yeah.
earlier. And
I don't like that story. It's so creepy though.
I have a story about a woman that saw a woman standing in her living room watching her kids, and she freaks out. But then she realized she was watching a recording, and it was her.
Okay.
And the way that it was set up is her blonde hair looked dark because of the way. Like I was talking about the infrared and things like that.
That could still be very scary though.
Oh, she was freaking out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have a story, let us know. Let's get started with some of the longer form non-Reddit Quora. I have a bunch of Reddit and a bunch of Quora.
Yeah, sure.
But let's get to some of the news article-y ones first. All right, so this takes place in 2019 in the UK. Ugh.
And you're going to say it too.
Always. And this was written by Emer O'Hagan.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Quote, picture an autumn Friday evening when, after a typical bath time followed by the donning of superhero pajamas, my 4 and 2-year-old sons were tucked up asleep in their bedroom. Collapsing on the sofa, I glanced at the baby monitor to see a now familiar but still somewhat unnerving sight in their bedroom. 3 small green specks of light flickering on the screen as they danced like fireflies above my snoring toddler's cot bed. I can guarantee if I crept up the stairs and opened the door, there would be no sign of them. They are only visible on the monitor screen and only appear when the camera is in the children's bedroom. Nowhere else in our home, or at the hotels, or friends' or relatives' house where we've used it before. I first noticed them over a year ago. They don't appear every night, but we still see them several times a month. Initially, I needed my husband Malcolm's pragmatic insistence that some sort of electrical interference or a fault with the monitor was to blame. But that doesn't really explain why we only saw these green orbs at home and in that room. Malcolm doesn't buy into the paranormal and refuses to ponder on any sort of otherworldly explanation. Unquote. So Emer let it go until she sees posts on Instagram of other people mentioning these unexplainable camera stories. Okay. So she makes a post talking about it, and she was it was in jest, like she was kind of prepared to be laughed off social media.
Yeah.
But all these people started responding with their own stories, and it kind of shocked her. So here's another quote. A colleague recounted hearing a recording of a friend's baby monitor where the name Steve was whispered over and over, and the family in question did not know a Steve. And then another recording of their child saying, quote, someone's at the window, they want to get in. Sarah from Dartmoor also contacted me. At pains to insist that she was sane, a rational person, she told me that her 6-year-old son's bedroom in their barn conversion, which by day is an ordinary little boy's room filled with Legos and storybooks, by night seems to be a hive of activity. She told Emer, this used to be my husband's grandmother's home, my son's great-granny. His bedroom was her kitchen, where she spent much of her time before she passed away and the building was converted. Although he's 6, we still use a baby monitor because his room is a little away from ours in case he's sleeping poorly or needs us in the night. Since he began sleeping in there 5 years ago, we have regularly seen 2 light sources on the monitor. One is a round ball, and the other one is more ribbon-shaped. They travel around the room at varying speeds. Sarah and her husband tried to find a rational explanation for the orbs, but failed. Then, Sarah says, one night after a glass of wine, I asked my husband if he thought maybe that this was just his grandmother present in the house. He was skeptical, but they decided to test the theory. Standing in the hall outside the room and watching the monitor, he asked, Granny, is that you? If it is, can you show us your presence? Immediately, the round ball of light flashed across the room. Then asked, are you just checking on him? And as the light hovered over the end of the bed, they saw an indent of the duvet as if someone was sitting there. So that's Sarah, someone that reached out to her.
Yeah.
Another mother, Haley, got in touch with Emer to tell her about a video monitor which picked up 3 balls of white light hovering in the open doorway of her son's room one evening. Here's a quote from Haley. Quote, I froze and tried to tell myself it was just a reflection of something. Then the balls rose in the air, moved into the room, and circled over my sons. They were then aged 3 and 1, before whooshing towards the curtains and vanishing. It was over in less than 15 seconds. I bolted up the stairs to find the boys sleeping soundly, but the room had a very calm, settling feeling. But I was shaken and upset. I never saw anything on the monitor again. But after that, my youngest went through a phase of telling me there's a man in his room. He would wave at the ceiling and say he was waving goodbye to him, unquote. So Emer ended up reaching out to a psychic, Amanda Took, about all this. And Amanda believes that infants and monitors are the perfect storm for paranormal activity because children are way more receptive to spirits and angels, and that these entities commonly use electrical devices to communicate.
God, I was thinking that exact same thing. That's crazy.
In response to Emer's specific situation, Amanda told her that the orbs are often angels. So while spirits are loved ones who have passed, we all have an angel who's assigned to us, and that's what Emer was witnessing.
I was not going to say the same thing.
That's not what you're going to say?
No.
So that's Emer's story, along with a couple people that reached out to her.
Wow. I also have a couple other theories I want to touch on, but I'm going to wait to the discussion to talk about those.
Well, I have a theory section before we get to the discussion.
Okay, cool.
So save them for then. All right, 2024. In February of 2024, a dad with the name Grave, kind of dope, right?
It's a dope name.
Grave, from South Yorkshire.
There's a lot of British.
A lot. It's a lot. We go to Reddit and Quora, and they write beautifully written articles.
Yeah.
It's way different.
Yeah.
I will say.
In England, they
what do they do? What do they do in England, Charlie?
They have a deeper connection to the Fey Wild.
We're not talking about that here.
No.
We're talking about angels and orbs and ghosts.
Yeah, okay.
Keep the Fey.
I could try, but they're trying to break in, clamoring.
So in February of 24, a dad named Grave from South Yorkshire discovered something terrifying on his baby monitor camera. It appeared to be a ghostly hand reaching into his 9-month-old crib. Apparently, it was the first night that they set up the camera, and this was the first night his son was sleeping by himself. So he tried to play out all the scenarios, thinking that maybe it had been lag. Maybe it was his wife, kind of like I was talking about earlier. Maybe it was his wife reaching in there, and the camera just lagged, and that's what it was. And he kept telling his wife that and suggesting that to his wife, but she denied it. She said that it wasn't her, it wasn't her hand. One thing that she was using as an identifier is she always wore a Pandora bracelet, and it was not like the arm that you saw in the crib did not have that bracelet on it. Yeah.
Okay.
So here's a quote from Grave. When me and my wife went on our first date, she saw this lady in my house. My brother, work, and school friend have seen her, and they all describe her exactly the same. This ghost arm could have potentially belonged to this woman. Quote. I like how at the end they're like, yeah, it's haunted, by the way. House is haunted.
Yeah, well, no one wants to admit that, though,
Well, now I think they got the video proof.
Yeah.
That's what, if you're a ghost hunter, you should just set up a bunch of baby monitors everywhere.
I think that's the idea.
It's baby monitor. Well, you have all these apps and all
You
these
gotta
technology.
bait them with the babies.
Bait them with the babies.
What if you just put a baby in every room in a haunted house?
Just put it at Craigslist looking for babies.
Babies.
For scientific paranormal experiment.
In a crib.
You'll probably get them back.
Hard, probably. Bolded the probably.
Yeah.
Or soft italic the probably.
I would not like to see it. If I see a ghost arm,
that'd be a lot.
Put a baby monitor up in my attic where we used to record. Catch Bigfoot walking around up in there.
Okay, real question.
Okay.
Do you ever hear anything up there?
No.
Okay.
No.
You never heard like footsteps or anything?
No, not at all.
Okay, good.
You forget that there was an attic. It's so quiet.
That's crazy.
There's been things like, remember that beeping thing I told you about? Like, there's been weird things that happen.
Yes.
I've never heard like footsteps
or like chains rattling or whatever.
Chains rattling. No. I don't think someone could walk up there. There's so much crap up there now. It's my fault. But the ghost would be like tiptoeing, breaking their ankles, trying to,
Like this, is this a mattress?
Just put Lego mines over there. Probably wouldn't stop the ghost. All right, so let's move to the most credible source known to man, Reddit. Good news, Bizarros. You have a new premium paranormal podcast to add to your repertoire.
Sightings is a new series that invites you inside the world's most mysterious and unexplained events.
From legendary encounters like Bigfoot and Roswell to less-known phenomena like the Polaroid Ghost Rider.
Where a ghost allegedly communicated with a pair of roommates by writing on the exposures of thousands of Polaroid photos.
Fun fact, that's also how we plan all of our production meetings too.
One thing that really separates this show from other podcasts is the style that Sightings is told in.
Imagine not only hearing the stories told, but putting you directly in the action with heart-pounding storytelling.
It's kind of like living out a dream of mine, to be honest.
You can look forward to episodes that cover the Kyome UFO crash, the Lizard Man of Scapor Swamp, Dyatlov Pass Mystery, the Hill Abduction, and more.
I got to listen to the first episode pre-drop, and let me tell you, I'm kind of jealous that you get to listen to it for the first time. From the storytelling to the in-depth sound design, it really drags you in as a listener.
Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, step inside the stories you only thought you knew with Sightings.
New episodes every week. Look for Sightings on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
We're on to Reddit stories. I got a whole, like, these aren't long, but I got a whole bunch of Reddit. I got some.
These are gonna get buck wild. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's always a good time when you're hanging out on Reddit.
Can you give any of the Brits an accent though?
No, I don't know.
I saw my baby with the ghost, eh? He was have a spot of tea, isn't it?
See, I don't need to use the accent because I know you're gonna come through for me.
I like the low hanging fruit.
So the first story is from Winglamo. Quote, "This isn't something I heard from my kid's room, but it was something creepy heard over a baby monitor. I did at-home care for a little while, and there was one client I had a couple years ago. The lady I assisted with had dementia, and she was just at a point where the good days were fading. We had a baby monitor in her room so we could hear when she was waking up. I'll go ahead and mention that we also had bells pinned to her sheets so that when she was trying to get up on her own, which, is a fall risk, we would hear the bells jingle. It was common to hear her in the room talking to, quote, that man, asking, 'Who are you?' and 'What is it?' to an empty room. One evening, her and I were in the living room together by ourselves, and I heard the bells start jingling on their own over the baby monitor. There was no ceiling fan, the AC or the heat wasn't running, there were no windows open. I always had bad feelings in our house, with things like cabinets opening, and one really creepy time where it sounded like footsteps were coming down the hallway, which really scared me. I'm honestly glad I'll never have to go into that house again."
The idea of mixing dementia with a haunting.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's like you have I don't want to speak about dementia, but it's like an unreliable narrator, right? It's all sad. It's all tragic.
Yes.
Here's a short one from Fred the Fish, with a couple H's on that fish. "My uncle has a handful of stories, but I'll tell one of the better ones. Thank you, Fred. One night, over the baby monitor, they heard whispering in what sounded like my cousin's voice. Strangely, though, they heard another voice that sounded like my grandma's, who passed a year before this. They go into her room, and they ask her who she's talking to, and she says, 'I was talking to Grandma. She helped me find my doll.' And the doll was on the floor, but when they checked on her, it was back in her crib." Unquote.
That's not bad. That's pretty good.
It's more lighthearted.
Yeah. It goes along with the idea of relatives or angels.
Yeah. There's an interesting mix. Well, also, it's like we're talking about kids here, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the idea of the nurturing, the family wanting to see the newborn and the new child.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a wide spectrum of horror, terrifying, spooky stories mixed with just like our relatives coming to see this child.
Yeah. Both can be paranormally charged. Like,
oh, sure.
They're both really strong stories and good evidence. Because, with the negative, there's the positive too, right? And that's the positive. Like, that could be the positive. Like, the relative coming back to see the child.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the dad that didn't get to see the baby,
Yeah, I mean, it could be a form of coping, but at the same time, like, if you're not getting those feelings, because I feel like that goes a lot into it, is how you feel about something that's happening and the what you're getting from it. Like, if you go into a room, like the guy who's at a home care, obviously he didn't like it. He said he got creeped out there. Where this one was more like, maybe it was the grandmother.
Yeah. Yeah, if I had bells in my sheets, I'd be jingling Santa Claus. I'd throw my shit around.
So Lady 4 is our next Reddit user. Quote, "My family used to have a baby monitor set up at the top of our stairs. One night, I was home alone as my parents were at my brother's hockey game. I'm downstairs on the computer playing Roller Coaster Tycoon." Which is awesome. I don't know if you ever played that.
I love Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yeah. "On this particular night, I heard a bang. Nothing that was too startling. Kind of sounded like a cupboard door shutting. I paused my game and stared at the monitor. I then heard my front door unlock. The door didn't open. I just heard it simply unlock. My heart dropped and it was eerily quiet. About 10 seconds after the door unlocked, I heard a massive loud bang, like someone stomping on the hardwood upstairs, and the baby monitor went to loud static. I immediately started crying, and I hid under the computer desk for an hour before my parents came home. When my parents got home, they asked me if I let anyone in because the door was unlocked. There was nothing taken, and the baby monitor was still plugged in. There are no signs of anyone else being in the house. To this day, I think about that night, and it gives me chills. Unquote.
Creepy. It's good to hear a story from Canada.
What makes you say it's Canada? Did I say it was Canada?
I said hockey.
Hockey. Okay. Okay. That's fair.
Whatever happened was probably just karma for her killing all those thousands in her roller coaster.
Dropping them and dropping them in the water.
I know what she's doing.
I still say rubbish because of that game. Like that's what they call the trash, right? Rubbish.
Yeah, okay.
I still say it.
It's so funny.
Some rubbish, you know. All right, this next Reddit story is from ITL Mama 2. You have to kind of assume that you're not having any more children. I would hope.
Mama 2?
Mom of 2 before.
Mom of 2.
Mom of 2, you know.
She gets pregnant. She's like, God damn it, I changed my username.
It's like rebooting your whole past. What's your first like email, username, aim? Can you remember? Because mine is not even my name.
The first thing I can remember is my gamer tag, which is what I still use. So.
Oh, well, then that's not too bad. I was a big Jeff Hardy fan growing up from WWE, so mine had the name Jeff in it. So like people would like if you get those when you sign up for like a rewards. Everyone they thought my name was Jeff.
Hey Jeff.
Like I need to.
You're like, who's Jeff?
And then and then I got a Yahoo email with my initials, and then that was like my main email, and that became my spam one. And then when I moved to where you live now, I got a Gmail. I'm like, this will be my official, this will be my more serious stuff email.
Yeah.
And that's turned into just
spam.
Not spam as much as Yahoo, but like it's the store stuff, like all the places I shop, like the Old Navies and stuff.
I had my Outlook, but now it's like too cluttered. Now I just use my Gmail.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So, ITL Mama 2, quote, when my son was born, my grandmother passed away 2 months prior. She was so very excited, and I loved her dearly. I was hit hard when she passed. About 2 weeks after being out of the hospital, I put my precious man to sleep, and I went outside for fresh air. We lived in an older house at the time, with very creaky floors and squeaky doors. If you were to go into that bedroom, you could hear it. Sitting outside with my husband, all was quiet, but then we heard it. This beautifully soft, sing-song voice over the baby monitor. Hi, Connor. I froze. I looked at my husband to verify that I wasn't crazy. I had him go in the bedroom first, and there was nothing. My stepmom was home at the time, because I lived with my dad, and I asked her if she'd went in there. Nope. I checked in on him, and he was sleeping soundly. I turned around to go out the door, and a stick of deodorant flies across the room and hits the bedroom door. I took my son immediately out of the room and slept with him on the couch. Nothing happened since, but it still creeps me out. Uncle, that one has like a weird...
It's a weird twist.
A weird shift.
Yeah.
A weird shift.
I have a couple ideas about that.
That one, like... If it's real, very creepy shift. If it's fake, they missed what they were going for. Because you're starting with the grandmother.
Yeah.
Unless it wasn't.
Unless it wasn't.
Yeah. It's kind of like the story you did recently with like the mom holding the candle or the perfume.
Oh, yeah.
This one was deodorant, but the one with the perfume. And like, I don't know who you look like, but you feel like my mom.
Exactly.
So I'm going to take this perfume. All right. This is Red-Headed Bug. By the way, in the discussion, we do not have to go over every single.
That's
story.
Fine.
We're going to talk about it as a whole. So you can create those bullet points in your brain.
I've got
cranium as we're going through
three
this.
I want to hit. So
perfect. That's a good number. Red-Headed Bug, quote, one night I'm sitting in bed, scrolling on my phone, and I start hearing my daughter babbling to herself on her baby monitor. Now, it's really late, like 1 or 2 in the morning. So I turn the picture of the monitor on, and I see her standing up in her crib, facing sort of diagonally away from the camera. I can see her hands in front of her, but only like half of her face. I can see her signing things like nice and silly and fun, and then oddly enough, no, don't like, and bear. Of course, being the good and loving mother I am, I get up to go see what the heck she's doing. When I go to her room, she's still standing up and signing, babbling towards the far corner of the room. I ask her what she's doing and who she's talking to, and she signs or says the best she can, friend, which she does with her whole hands and not just her fingers, and signs bear again. I tell her that no, see, Bear, who's actually one of her stuffed toys, is in bed behind her and not in the corner of the room. But then she giggles at me and signs silly and mommy. I finally get fed up and ask her who friend Bear is, and her response literally gives me chills because she doesn't speak well yet, but she managed to say very clearly in the most serious face that a 20-month-old could pull off, no name, no name. Shh. Well, now I'm well and truly freaked out, so I tell her to ask no name friend Bear to go home because it's too late to play, and I did what any good loving mother would do. I gave her a pacifier, went back to my room, and turned off the monitor entirely and hid under the covers in my room where my good and loving husband would protect me from nameless, invisible bears.
Whoa.
Unquote.
That's creepy.
It's funny reading this because at first I'm like, why is she signing?
Yeah.
But then I remember so much that that's what Joey would do. You know, he'd do more. And,
he said he learned Taco Bell very young too.
Taco Bell. Yeah. But then, you forget the more was so cute when you'd say more, and like milk and juice and stuff like that. Yeah. So then he came back to me like, oh yeah, this is,
they signed first.
All right. I got one more Reddit story for you.
All right.
And this is Danielle 89.
Down the Reddit hole.
Quote, I was hanging out downstairs while my 5-year-old slept upstairs in bed just like every night. I have a camera baby monitor that is closed circuit, does not even connect to the internet. Basically only a camera and a handheld screen. It doesn't hook up to cell or anything. Anyway, last night I was sitting on the couch watching TV when I noticed my child moving around. So I started watching the monitor to see if I needed to run up and lay with him before he fully awoke. Then it looked as if he was lifted an inch or so and tossed. So then I really watched the monitor thinking I didn't see what I think I just saw. Then it was like he got scooted up. Then it was like something had him by his upper arms and was pulling him into a sitting position with his head back. I immediately ran upstairs and flipped the light on to find him sound asleep between the pillows covered in sweat. I called my husband in a panic because I was very freaked out. And he told me that I probably just didn't see it right, or I was imagining things and not to let it bother me. I could not get my heart rate and breathing to calm down after 10 minutes of sitting in the bed next to my sleeping kid. So I ended up scooping him up and bringing him downstairs to sleep on the couch, because I sure as hell wasn't going to let him sleep up there. My husband said it was stupid for me to do that, but honestly, I was just uncomfortable with him sleeping upstairs, or even me being upstairs sleeping. My son slept through everything, from being scooped up and carried downstairs and being placed on the bed, as well as me staying up several more hours, watching TV, not being able to sleep. I don't know what answers I'm looking for. I'm just freaked out and terrified of what I saw.
That's a horror movie dad right there.
That's so horror movie dad.
You're just being stupid.
Yeah, come back.
I'm sure he's fine. I'm sure you imagined him being picked up out of the air.
Yeah, what could you mistake that as? Like him shuffling in his sleep, but like lifting an inch in the air.
An inch into the air?
Yeah.
Someone picked him up?
He jumped and froze.
Well, he's 5, right? So,
yeah, that's...
God.
Yeah, that's not even, not like the size and the weight matters necessarily when you get to the paranormal. But it's not like it's an infant.
Right.
Which would actually be scary if it was an infant, because they're so much more fragile. Mm-hmm. But if it was like, an 18-month, toddler or something... Like, that's so much different. A 5-year-old being lifted like that? I mean...
There's no, feeling in this story at all. It's just kind of...
Well, there's fear.
There's fear
I think
from
she's
her.
Frustrated with her husband.
That's a whole other different
you're
podcast.
You're dumb for worrying about it, and you're dumb for going and sleeping down.
That's a whole married podcast. But, no, I think you're right. But there's no, nothing coming off of Ency besides her being scared.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the fear of my child being physically harmed or
Yeah.
moved by an unseen force.
That's so scary.
That's always my fear, to be honest. Like when I look at the outlet, my fear is that there's multiple. Like seeing something in there would also be very scary.
Yeah.
But the idea of like them being moved by something unseen, I mean, it's like your child is in the hands of something you can't comprehend. You don't know how much danger they're in.
Yeah. And then my secondary fear is that it comes back. That it keeps coming back.
Well, I'm sure there's no other negativity in this house that could be bringing something around.
Yeah.
That's sarcasm. I'm talking about the husband.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Like he could be, who knows if he could be
super attached.
He's probably playing Call of Duty, screaming. Probably got somebody was camping.
Sometimes that's cathartic, though.
Not for this guy.
Oh.
It makes this guy very angry. All right, I got a couple more. We're heading over to kind of an untapped source for us, Quora. We don't go there too often, but I like Quora.
Too often.
I like Quora.
I like how it's organized, but I like the stories.
Here's the problem with Quora is your name's on wax. There's not only one combination of first name, last name in the world. So it's not like but it's not like underscore mama245. Like
it's less than names. Yeah.
So this is from Maria C.
Yeah.
I'm not that it matters. Y'all could look these stories up yourselves, but just because I feel better.
Yeah.
I'll just say Maria C. first name, last initial. Quote, "This is part of another answer I gave, but I thought is appropriate for this. When my eldest was 2, she was in a child's ready bed on the floor of her bedroom as she hated her cot and her big bed hadn't arrived yet. We were all in bed and I had the baby monitor next to me when she started to giggle. An older voice, sounded female, said, 'You'll wake them up.' My initial reaction was that she had woken our lodger, who was also a friend of the family, so I rushed out of the bed and went to her room, very confused as she was on her own in the middle of the floor playing with her toys. I managed to choke back my scaredness and said to her that it was time to get to bed. She smiled, got in, closed her eyes, smiling. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. Next morning, I got her up in the usual way, kissing and cuddling her until she awoke. We left her bedroom, and she darted back as if she'd forgotten something. She just looked in the corner of the room, and she said, 'Bye-bye.'" Unquote.
Jeez, oh man. I assume this takes place in England too.
Yeah.
Because lodger.
And eldest is, we say oldest.
Yeah.
Eldest is like the elder one.
That's a creepy story.
All right, this is from Ann A. It's a short one. In 2008, my son was 3 months old, and about 2 a.m., I heard him cry. I waited a minute to see if he was really waking up or if it was just a little whimper. A few minutes later, I heard him cry a second time. This time, I started to get out of bed to tend to him when I heard my mother say, "It's okay, I've got him." Now, that wouldn't really be out of the ordinary, except my mother passed away in 2000.
Oh. Is it the end?
That's the end.
Oh my God.
That feels a little bit like a punchy short story, but also, I mean, it's not out of the realm of the things we talk about.
That'd be so fucking disturbing.
I feel like it's a very groggy state that she's in.
Yeah.
But it's literally 4 senses. I'm not gonna fight it. If it's probably real. It's probably a real haunting. It is what it is. All right, this is our last story. This is from Space Admiral Steve Jones.
Whoa. Dude's probably been in space.
I think they have. Quote, "A few years ago, I accompanied my brother, his wife, and their baby daughter to a beach house owned by a friend of ours. The house has 4 floors, 7 bedrooms, a swimming pool, 2 kitchens, and even an elevator, and we were staying for a week. One night, I agreed to watch my niece to give my brother and his wife a night off, a mid-vacation date so they could have a nice dinner in a touristy spot and walk the beach, etc. I put my niece to bed in one of those bedrooms and joined my friend and his wife by the pool where we were hanging out, talking and drinking a few beers. I'm an overly cautious babysitter, and I kept a very close eye on the baby monitor, which has a camera as well as a microphone. It's sensitive enough that you can hear the baby turn over in her sleep or babble quietly in the crib. As I was talking to my friend and his wife, I saw a movement on the baby monitor. My friend's mom was checking on my niece, I figured, and I just saw her rest her hands on the railing of the crib and lean over to look at the baby. I could hear the baby babbling. It occurred to me that it was odd that Eileen, my friend's mom, would wake the baby, but I thought nothing of it. Then my friend's mom walked out of the sliding glass doors leading to the pool area. Naturally, I was confused. How did she get from the second floor bedroom to the poolside deck in like 2 seconds? I asked her, Eileen, were you just checking on Lucy? She said, no, why? Eileen is an awesome mom and grandmother. She would never lie to me, and she's not the type to pull pranks, especially about something like this. I bolted from my chair into the house, up the stairs and into Lucy's room. No one was there, and Lucy was sound asleep. One of the windows was open, and the curtain was blowing from a breeze coming off the beach. I walked over to the window and closed it, and checked on my niece again, and then closed the door. My eyes were pretty much glued to the baby monitor as my brother and sister-in-law returned from their date night. I still don't know what I saw that night. Unquote.
It's a very if you're not driving, who's driving kind of story.
Well, but it's natural to come to the conclusion that it's a human who's there. But then you get that.
He's definitely not wrong in thinking.
No, it's the same thing I would think. But then you see him and you're like, whoa. So those are all of the many little and longer encounters of baby monitor craziness on the paranormal side. Let's get into some theories about what's going on here. All right, so there's not a lot to go into here, but let's go into some ideas on why we hear things and why we see things. So why do we hear strange things with baby monitors? Some have been accurately accused of picking up radio signals and things like that. So if you think about like that in-between phase when you're on a radio, there's been stories about baby monitors being able to pick up other signals and frequencies, which is why you might either get static, you might hear a voice, you might get something like that. It's not paranormal. It's just in between.
It's like a ghost box.
Yeah, basically what you would be looking for, or what I feel like what a good paranormal investigator would be looking for is what you're hearing sound like it's directed towards you, I would assume.
Is it sentient?
Yeah, is it? But if you're like you catch a game broadcast, right?
Yeah.
Like it's the bottom of the third. Like that's probably not.
Yeah.
You know.
Like. It also, should it make sense? Like for more than just like if it goes more than just like a moment, like if it's longer than just like a snippet.
Yeah, exactly. Like, is it a full sentence? Like, for instance, the story we did earlier with Maria, like, shh, you'll wake them up. That's not really like, that doesn't feel like an in-between frequency type of thing. But that's one theory. Another theory with that is the hacking. Like somebody can hack in there and mess with you. There were some stories I read that were still creepy, but they didn't quite fit with what I was going for, where it was like another source was tapping into their baby monitor, and it was like scary in a way where it's like someone needed help, but it wasn't a ghost. It was like somebody else was talking into it or something.
Like help 911.
Something like that, but then you hear it on your monitor. So it's like you get this uneasiness of like something bad is happening, but it's like, I don't know where it's coming from. I can't help. You're just kind of, so there's stuff like that. But then the idea of like hackers, getting in there and knowing that you're on a baby monitor and just saying terrible, vile things, knowing that a child is going to hear it. Which is terrible.
And that's the joke for them, though.
That's how they sleep at night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of us, binge watch Netflix and.
So what's the point of hacking a baby monitor? Because like the baby's not going to tell you secrets,
Some people just want to watch the world burn.
There you go.
Yeah. I don't know. That's because people suck. A lot of people suck. So why do people see strange things? Here's 3 theories on that. 1, the infrared vision due to the night vision would cause things to look distorted and otherwise creepy. Like we talked about, children with black eyes.
Yeah.
The story that I didn't include, but I already talked about, with the woman's hair went from blonde to black. Just like it's a different perspective. It's a way of looking at things that you don't normally see. 2, if the baby monitor is near a window, it could potentially get car headlights coming into the room, or even if like a fence, like if there's something obstructing the car headlight, it could still find its way in there and just look strange. I've definitely seen. I mean, I think everyone's probably seen some type of car headlight that catches them off guard for a second. They're like, whoa. And like, oh, okay. That's just that, you hope. And then finally, particles, dust particles, baby powder, something in the air could be causing orbs seen in these cameras. I think to a certain extent, potentially, like one of the theories we had, because where our baby monitor is, or the outlet, is above a vent. And we were like, maybe when the air blows, like air conditioning, it's blowing up dust.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't believe this. I've already talked about my experience. It seems like there's too much agency in the movement. But I mean,
but you had to go to sleep that night. So,
but you know, it's a theory that you're just seeing those type of particles and stuff moving around, or like gnats or like little insects. There'd be a lot of bugs in that room if that's what we're seeing. But
that's what I was thinking too.
Don't think that's the case. What were your theories, Charlie? Please give my voice a little reprieve here.
Well, one of my theories was the psyche nailed it. I think children are closer to the veil at this point. They're very susceptible to ghostly encounters. I think ghosts are also drawn to them because it's new life, it's new energy. And also, they're able to draw off something electronic in that room. It gives them, there's so many things in that room to boost their...
You're using all these like charging terms. I like it. Boost.
To boost their like...
Increase their signal.
Yeah.
Energize.
Yeah, and then they're able to manifest in ways. Maybe it's probably easier to manifest as an orb or a light.
You know, you got all those toys in there with batteries and shit. That's why in the movies you see...
Exactly.
You don't see little Amish boys and girls getting terrorized by...
That's a different movie.
These ghosts.
They're terrorized by their parents. I should got that.
They're
not going to hear it.
They're so tired from working. They're so tired from working that they just pass out. There's nothing can haunt them.
That's right.
Their little wooden horse moves across.
But really, though, for real, I think that's a really good theory about what's going on.
Yeah.
Why there are ghosts here.
Both sides make sense. Well, yeah, electrical component, and then the children who haven't been told their whole life ghosts are fake. This isn't real. Just that genuine.
Openness. There's someone here.
Yeah, like there's
silly friend.
Nothing wrong with this. It's just what it is.
And you're gonna hate this. But also, the Fae have a connection to children. That is true. They also, if you don't watch your children around the Fae, they will take them and replace them with changelings. That's why the Fae hate Owlette, because it lets you watch your children.
That's why they hate it.
That's why they hate it.
That's why I like Owlette so much.
Uh-huh.
I did see a really good movie where the kids were taken.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's got, who is that?
Is that the whole one?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, Steph watched that one.
Yeah. Where the kids got gotten, and then there was like two families.
Is it called The Changeling?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's got like two families that go on a trip together, I think. And one has kids and one doesn't. The kids get got first. And then, but I've also seen one where like it's just like a brother gets taken or a sister gets taken. I've seen that concept before. So I like the concept because it turns into like the Ring 2 thing or Insidious 2 of like, you know that this person isn't who they say they are, but they don't know that you know. So you have to kind of play it off because you don't want to let this thing know.
But the idea of the changeling, right? It's that the Fae replace your child with their child. It's almost like a kookaburra bird. They replace a kookaburra finds the nest, replaces the egg with their own egg, and the bird is then forced to raise that child. It's actually very sad because it knocks out all the other eggs and makes it like the only child.
You just come home to your crib and it's just a bird. You're like,
hold on.
I know we're eating tonight.
I think that's a very scary idea that I do not think is not real.
Sometimes I lose connection to my Owlette, and so there's very small windows should they desire.
Don't tell them that.
That's the Bobby guy.
It's creepy.
Do you have any other theories?
Those are my two main theories.
I like the first one.
Okay. Do you not like the second one? Do you believe the second one at all?
No, I don't particularly believe the second one. I do very much believe the first one.
Okay. All right. It's fine.
This is basically the discussion. There's no sound bump, but you can. This is basically the discussion.
We've trickled into it. At this point.
There's no point in doing like a hard. So, do you think these are now? We're not going to go into. If there's an individual story you do want to touch on, we can certainly do that, or we can talk about them as a whole. I'll probably be talking about them as a whole, but if you want to dwell on one, I'm more than willing to discuss it.
Yeah, there was one or two I didn't want to talk about. That first one with the green. The
long version with Emer.
Yeah.
And the green orbs over the children.
You know what it made me think of?
What's that?
Will-o'-the-wisps.
Okay.
I wonder if this is a type of Will-o'-the-wisp situation where they're like spirits.
I don't know.
And they're trying, they know they can't lure children, but I wonder if they're almost like, I wonder if they're doing something, just taking energy from them.
You don't think it's the angel thing that the
No,
psychic
no,
was-
no, no. I don't think that at all.
She was very confident that that's what it was.
Well, I'm pretty confident she's wrong.
Okay. It's funny. It's funny how like Charlie is to the psychic as I am to you and the Fae.
I don't think I'm more skeptical than anything about. I was talking really nicely earlier about how these things can be positive. There's a nice side to this.
Yeah.
More often than not, I don't think that's true.
You're just putting it on.
I do question anything that has an affinity to go to children.
Well, the idea of it being a loved one that passed is kind of like the only, like that's it.
Yeah.
Like there's no other nice scenario of it being a spirit or an entity unless you believe it's a loved one.
Or an
otherwise,
angel or something.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's like, even if it's not evil, it's the idea of, is this like ghost attracted to this life? You know what I mean?
Yes.
That kind of, I think that goes into Insidious a little bit.
It's creepy.
So I think when they go into the herp derp, they're like, be careful because the dead are going to be attracted to you because they're the living and they want what you have.
There's definitely a scene where they all turn their head, right?
That's one.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's definitely more calming and coping to think that it's a loved one.
Yes.
Coming to see.
Or your house is already haunted.
Which is probably my case.
And you think that
I still need you to
come by and sage it. Yeah.
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 One of these days. Bay leaf it. I need you to bay leaf my house.
That'll just make it taste good.
It'll be exactly the same. It'll be exactly the same.
The other story I want to talk about was the one that either needed a workshop or two or is very true.
Oh, the grandmother.
Yeah.
Where she said, "Hi, Connor."
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, it's the grandma."
grandma.
But then it like completely shifts.
And throws
a deodorant stick.
Yeah. So
at the door.
So you can go not as creepy, right? Maybe it's just the grandma who's like upset that they interrupted time with the baby.
Yeah, it's so tough because if I'm being completely transparent, I view it as a story with tone problems. Yeah. But at the same time, to give them the benefit of the doubt, even if you thought a loved one came to visit you, you're allowed to think that's creepy.
Yes.
Like you are, even if it feels comforting and you're like, they're waiting for me on the other side, or, I'm getting a sign from a loved one who's passed. Even if you find that comforting, you're allowed, I'm giving you permission. Not that you need it from me, but you can find that creepy.
Yeah, it absolutely can be very chilling as well.
So it's just like, my grandmother loved the son, and she passed. I took it very hard, and I hear her voice.
Yeah.
Or they say it was her voice. I guess they didn't really fully explain.
They said it sounded like
it was kind of insinuated. And then it's like, oh, is she here? And then they throw the deodorant and they take her out and they're like,
yeah,
I still get chills thinking about that. It's like, what?
I don't.
How are we, if you don't know how you feel about it, how am I supposed to know how to feel about this story?
I don't personally. If I'm gonna reach, I think it was never the grandma.
Okay. Just using the voice. Hi, Connor.
Mm-hmm. That's what I think it is. It's a trap. They like to do the trap.
What do you think about the name Connor? And think about the fact that there's listeners listening who
Connor?
might be
I like the name Connor. I think it's from a
Feels
movie.
Strong.
It's from a movie that I like.
Okay.
That I cannot think of the name of.
What happens in the movie?
Well.
Oh, you can't even think of the movie.
It just sounds so familiar.
Okay. So let's take a step back. Is it more likely?
Oh, it's The Call. It's a book.
Okay.
Sorry.
Is it more likely that the majority of these experiences are paranormal or just technical glitches? Like, so the kind of the theories that I said earlier about what could be causing them.
I think there's so many that vary so differently. I think it's certainly possible that some of them are glitches. I do think that a lot of them, like the hand that they can't explain belonging to anybody, even in a duplicate, like that's probably a ghost.
Yeah, it's very hard to explain that away. Even the orbs, I'll be very honest, like they're probably not all bugs and dust.
Right.
In your room, especially when they're so consistent.
And you see them.
So
they have
consistent.
The agency. They know where they're going.
Yeah, and some of them are slow, some of them are fast, some of them are big, some of them are small.
Yeah.
It's weird. Maybe, but I mean, I'm sure some of them are just technical glitches.
I'm sure.
Some of them are interference with the signal.
Yeah.
Like, I get that.
Or like the one we talked about with the 5-year-old. That was on a closed circuit. Like there was no way anyone was getting to that. They didn't alter that feed.
Yeah.
I do think that some are glitches, but I don't know about a lot of them, but definitely some are the afterlife or whichever you subscribe to.
Or other dimensions. So on our scale of believable to viable to skeptical to unbelievable, where do you put, just in general, creepy occurrences on baby cameras?
Oh, I go 100% believable. Easy W.
Yeah, I might be a statistic in this. I don't know.
For real though.
Because there's stuff I can't explain. So
if you have that or video, you should post it.
I have it somewhere. So I could probably pull it. I could probably pull the feed up right now and see some
ghosts.
Maybe
Don't do that.
So that is our episode on creepy occurrences, creepy things that happen on a baby monitor. I was going to say volume 1, but I don't want to assume that we'll come back.
Yeah, if we get to another volume, we will.
We'll add the VOL, that time.
It's funny that when you were saying the title, I was like, that's going to be a hell of a graphic.
Here's why. Okay. Another transparent moment for you. Okay. Here's what I wanted it to be called. Creepy things discovered on baby monitors.
Yeah.
It was like Family Guy where the chicken and Peter just beating the crap out of each other.
Yeah.
That is my professor is beating the word things out of me. Like in your papers, in the things you write.
Yeah. I got you.
You don't use stuff. You don't use things. So I use occurrences. But it's like, don't use Wikipedia, don't use things, don't use stuff.
Yeah.
Things like that is just like.
But don't use but.
I've never heard that quite as much.
I had that one.
But just like smashed into my brain so it's like I sat and just like, but then it's funny because you read like Stephen King book and he's like, don't get caught up on things like that. Just write. Otherwise you'll never get done with it.
Mm-hmm.
On writing, great book, both before and after he was smashed by that van.
That's what happens. You go back to the second edit.
Yeah. How many edits do you do on your notes?
Couple.
Do you? I do too. I do one like free range, it's like a step above free association. And then I don't edit it, I read it. And that's how I edit it. If I'm reading out loud.
That's what I do. I do it like first through, then I read through it. And then I go back to like parts I think that are problems.
Okay.
Super behind the scenes.
That's okay. It doesn't matter. We're done with they can exit out of here if they want. It's all good. But hey, if you are still listening and you want to let us know you're still listening and we would appreciate if you go to Apple and leave a 5-star review, or where can you go, Charlie?
You can also go to Spotify. There's actually other places you can go to as well, but Spotify is probably where you're listening.
iHeartRadio or Pandora.
Or Pandora.
Or YouTube.
And yeah, you could do that too, but that doesn't give us a download.
But we get the subscribers. Listen, this is my most unrealistic goal. When people are like, what goals do you have for your podcast? And, I have some, but the most unrealistic goal I have, because it's not fair and it shouldn't happen. I want a plaque. You know what I mean? It's like we put out like 2 real videos a month. Laugh. I don't know why.
I mean, I get it.
We're not YouTubers. We do not deserve a plaque.
No.
But goddamn it.
That's why it'd be funny.
It'd be so dope to have one of those 100,000, not even a million.
What's that? Oh, Spotify.
100,000 subscriber plaque.
You can go to Spotify.
You can buy me one for Christmas. We can make it fake.
They can make a fake one.
Pay him
it's going to look terrible.
Get it from Temu. They put the comma in the wrong spot. They put 10, comma 0, comma 00.
You with a U instead of which is a porn site, which I found out when I was a kid.
Yo, okay. You're talking about Spotify?
Spotify. You go to Spotify and you can leave a review on every episode.
Every single one.
Yeah.
This is 233. We're past the D chord now. So here's a couple things that people said about our last episode on Spotify, which was your episode. What was it?
Yeah.
The Lick.
Oh, yeah. The Lickman Bridge. Lickman. Like it's the last name.
Lickford.
The Lickford Bridge.
The Lickford Man Bridge. Hazy said, quote, don't take the bay leaf out. Leave it in and whoever finds it gets a prize, lol.
So happens in Chipotle.
Daniel said, maybe her friend's dream was coming to life. She was dreaming about her pet biscuit.
That's nice.
And she was actualizing it. Right there. I don't think that's what happened. But that's a good theory. Sarah said, I would pay extra to stay in a hotel room with a ghost dog.
That's crazy.
Laughing emoji, heart, great episode.
That's silly.
Emma said, I love listener submissions. They're so interesting. I also purposefully got behind on episodes so I could start listening to them at school.
I do that some with my podcast. I like to.
I have podcasts. I agree that I do the same. I'll go a couple days just so I can kind of get like a good
Good stretching.
Good stretch. I don't know how timely your podcasts are you listen to, but sometimes I get behind on purpose, and then I'll listen and they'll talk about something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's past.
My podcasts are not really like, they're usually like stories. So
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay. But hey, thank you so much for listening to this. If you have a baby camera story, here's what we'll do. If you have a baby camera story, send it in. Maybe we'll do like a listener submission baby camera
That'd be very cool.
That'd be cool. It'll be from y'all. But that'll be the volume 2.
Yeah.
And we'll trust you guys inherently. And
if you don't turn it in, it won't happen,
and send us pictures. That's part of it. Is if I can get evidence of mine, you can get evidence of yours.
It's part of it.
Unless it's audio, then I guess you can't do that.
You still record it, can't you? I don't know if that saves.
Yeah, mine doesn't, but maybe other people's does. I don't know. Also, we were in Chicago. It hasn't happened yet, so we can't talk about it. But if you saw us, cool.
We're leaving tomorrow.
Yeah. But hey, thanks so much for listening. We appreciate you. Thanks for listening to the podcast that would rather die than get a baby monitor for our studio, because we ain't about that life. As always, I'm Tyler.
I'm Charlie.
And catch us next week on Believing the Bizarre.
The podcast is bizarre as you are.